the dev announced, had some great balance talks over the last days, 5 nerfs and 10 buffs in next week's patch. Looking to bring up some underperforming classics and archetypes, and there's some spicy stuff. These might be 5 of the 10 buffed cards. So with the Caravans, right now they see no play because they're 2 mana 1/3s. At the start of your turn, give all minions in your hand. You know, the Paladin ones put the recruits down. The Priest one gives you a random card from your opponent's deck. This one draws you a Murloc, and then the Warlock one summons a 1 cost from the deck. So what they might do with these is they can do 2 things. They'll either give these 1 health, so they'll be 1/4s, or they're going to change it to the end of your turn. So I think the Caravans actually might see a buff, and it'll be one of those 2. And that goes for 5 of the buffs so far. I do see them making Lilypad Lurker a 5/5. I didn't even notice that. Look, it's actually a Quillboard now. Okay, so if they added the Quillboard tag, that means they plan on making this its own thing, which means they're going to probably support it in the mini set. If they're going to support it in the mini set and it doesn't see much play now, then we could definitely see them buffing some of these cards. Okay, well, that's good to go off of. All right, so now that Quillboard is actually a tag, we could see Plague Maul be competitive, like a 4 mana 4/4. Like, it's just a good card to play stat-wise. Like, it's at least semi-competitive, but a 4 mana 3/4 is literally just trash. This is also a Quillboard, so we might see this being like a 7 mana 5/6. We could go as far as seeing this be like a 4/6 or a 5/6. I don't think they'll reduce the mana cost on this guy because that would just, a 6 mana, put 3 minions on the board. It's a lot of basically free stats. And right now, AoE, besides like Hysteria, Brawl, like there's not really very low end AoE that'll do, you know, 3, 4, 5 damage to clear off the board after this. But this could be a 2/3. This could be a 3/4. So for Warrior, I actually have been talking about this a while. Every time I play Warrior and I play some form of Control Warrior, I wonder why Shield Maiden is not being buffed. So I would like to see them touch Shield Maiden to be a more competitive 6 mana minion. Whether she's a 6/5, a 6/6, or a 5/6, I think we could maybe see some Shield Maiden touches here. Because a 6 mana 5/5 and stats for 5 armor is just not good. It is just not good anymore. It used to be good, but not anymore. So they might actually make her slightly more competitive. And the last buff card is going to be the Deck of Chaos. We were playing with this card in a couple of our meme decks, and I was asking the question of like, Deck of Lunacy was 2 mana. Right? And Deck of Chaos was 6 mana. And Deck of Lunacy, that card was insane, like absolutely insane, right? We saw what it could do to the meta, and it was literally nerfed within 2 weeks. Deck of Chaos, however, is a much less substantial effect, but yet we're paying 3 times more mana for it. Like, it just doesn't make, the mana cost of this card literally doesn't make any sense with the Deck of Lunacy, which we already just saw get nerfed to 3 mana. So I would not be surprised if this thing goes to 4 mana. I would really like to see this thing go to 4 mana, and I think that would catch a lot of people off guard, and it would actually make this card fairly fun, still memey, still a meme card, not very competitive. If it goes to 3 mana, holy shit. But I think 4 mana for this card might make a lot of sense. I mean, we all hope secretly that they touch Ticketus. Again, I don't think they're going to touch this because they stated when they released their pre-made decks for sale, Ticketus Warlock is one of those, and they specifically mentioned that they didn't really intend to change any cards that were in those decks, because you don't want people to buy this like pre-made deck and then the cards in that deck to change, you know, soon after that, because then it feels like they just wasted their money on a deck that may not function or work as well as it just did because they just made a change to it after just selling it to you. So I don't think Ticketus is going to get touched at all because of that reason. They wouldn't have pumped out the competitive decks for sale and then also pumped out a buffs and nerfs after and had Ticketus get touched. So for nerfs, this one's quite easy. Looking at nerfs, we got Conviction. This card, 5 mana, is a 1 mana deal 6 because it applies +3 attack to 2 minions, while at 10 it'll do 3 minions +3 attack, which is 9 damage burst. So an easy way to fix this is 2 things. You either make this cost 1 more mana, so you make it cost 2 mana, which I don't think actually fixes the problem because it still does the same damage and you're only paying 1 more mana for it. So I think the easiest way to fix this is just give it like it gives +2 attack to 1 minion at 1 through 4, and then at 5 it goes +2 attack to 2 minions. So you just reduce the attack down by 1, and it's basically per level up it reduces it by 1, 2, and 3. So at 10 mana it'll do, it's still a 1 mana deal 6 in regards to buffing, and that significantly reduces the power level of this card to where the card is still pretty good. It's just not absolutely insane. And right now, this card is just absolutely insane. I'm really hoping Crab Rider gets touched. And the reason being is we've seen previously how powerful 2 mana, 4 HP cards can be. I mean, look at the Watchtowers when they first came out, and those got nerfed almost immediately. The Rush and Wind Fury tag on just a 2 mana stat line is insane. The fact that you can buff this card a variety of ways, whether you're playing a Paladin and you're using Blessing of Authority, Blessing of Kings, Conviction, Hand of a Doll. In the Rush Warrior, it's getting buffed with stuff like Stage Dive and Conditioning. So he's just one of those cards that if you literally don't deal with this 2 mana card, you lose. And again, that's not a healthy thing to have to deal with. So I see this card, just make him a 1/3, and he's basically still exactly the same. He's just slightly less powerful. So looking at Mage, there's basically 2 possible situations here that they could touch a Mage. We mentioned this in the last prediction video where I briefly mentioned Incanter's Flow and the Spring Water. Incanter's Flow can go to 3 mana. That'll be a change, or it'll be so just make this 3 mana, or we're going to see the Water. And this is still going to be able to draw you 2 cards, but it's going to refresh 1 mana crystal for each spell drawn instead of its current 2. If both of these cards get hit, I would be very surprised, just because they seem to really like the Mage class. And it would completely ruin the archetype that they've been pushing for a while now, and that's sort of the all-spell, no-minion Mage. And so they've kind of done one step at a time by hitting Lunacy first. It's obviously still a problem here. Why is it a problem? It's basically because you're able to draw a ton and you're able to discount while you're drawing. So I think we'll see the Incanter's Flow to just go to 3, and I think that should slow down the deck a ton. And I think the Refreshing Spring Water will still be a card. And for our last card to possibly get nerfed, it's going to be the Alex Strazza. We're currently seeing this deck being run in aggro decks, mid-range decks, and control decks. So they can't change the stats on this card at all. It has to be a 9 mana 8/8 for flavor effects. The fact that all of the dragons have 9 mana is something that I cannot change, and the 8/8 definitely cannot change. So the only other thing to look at here is to just make it do 6 damage. Make it basically a fireball instead of almost a pyroblast. And I think this will still keep the flavor of the card as being like something you could use for burst and or healing if you need it. And it'll definitely reduce it down to the point where it probably won't see any play. But right now, I just don't like the fact that if this card is good enough to literally be played in aggro, mid-range, and control, that means this card is going to exist in the meta for quite some time. And I don't like seeing basically an auto-include neutral card that fits into everything. It limits deck building, it takes out a lot of flavor, and it basically gives classes that normally don't have reach. And 8 damage for 9 mana, regardless if you have taunts out or not, doesn't really feel good. It's basically just a Leroy Jenkins that shoots fire. Like, it's the same sort of, let me just take 1/3 of your health in the later stages of the game. All right, those are my predictions, and I think we got some spicy stuff here. If you think I'm off the rails, or if I didn't touch on something that you think is too OP or doesn't see enough play, let me know in the comment section below. I always enjoy reading those for these types of videos. You guys have a lot of good input, and you know, I'm just one dude, but you guys are a collective community. So you guys definitely have a lot more opinions than me, and a lot of them are pretty good. So with that, catch you in the next video. As always, I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.